Well, listen. If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
When Karoline Leavitt walked into the liberal echo chamber of The View, it wasn't just another panel squabble, it was a televised detonation. Right there, live in front of millions, she dismantled Whoopi Goldberg piece by piece. This wasn't your average on-air tiff. It was a full-scale media collapse in real time. Whoopi tried, again and again, to mute the only conservative at the table with enough grit to stand her ground. But every attempt backfired. The tension skyrocketed, the exchange went raw, and the iron grip Goldberg once had over the show slipped right through her fingers. Now ABC is scrambling to contain the wreckage. Major sponsors are quietly pulling their cash, and Whoopi herself has been yanked from the program. Viewers are stunned, the industry is buzzing, and we're breaking down every second of the clash, the backlash, and the game-changing fallout that could reshape mainstream TV forever.
I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back after the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
That was so good. So good. In a statement afterwards, this young lady claimed her, quote, on-air snub proves that you-know-who will not be treated fairly in the upcoming debate. Now, do you think this is going to make people doubt whether CNN can stay objective, or is this more the same of, everybody's against me, it's all rigged, I tell you. Is everything rigged?
No, it's their MO. That's what they do. Rachel Maddow said last week, she's like, if the election is lost, it was rigged. If there's a debate.
The most divisive and disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world. We have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and sex and all of this other BS, quite frankly.
For years, The View has been a fortress for progressive talking points, where conservative dissent isn't just unwanted, it's mocked, dismissed, or steamrolled. At the center of it all, Whoopi Goldberg, queen of daytime TV and gatekeeper of the left-leaning script. But that dominance cracked wide open when Karoline Leavitt walked on set. From the jump, Goldberg was staring down a young, sharp, and unapologetically articulate conservative who refused to bow. Leavitt didn't just poke holes in the show's tired talking points, she tore them apart, piece by piece. Calm, methodical, and unshakable, she exposed the hypocrisy and intellectual laziness critics have accused the show of for years. For once, Whoopi was out of words. The View treats wokeness like it's sacred, a shield to deflect criticism and a weapon to silence opponents. But Leavitt ripped away that mask. When Goldberg implied Leavitt's success only existed because of wokeness, it wasn't just an insult, it was proof the argument had no foundation. For decades, identity politics has been the left's go-to weapon. But faced with a confident, prepared conservative woman, those tactics fell flat. Leavitt didn't play victim, she dismantled the idea that woke equals inclusion, revealing it for what it's become, a tool for censorship.
Well, listen. If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on. Right. That's what you hear.
Yeah.
When they don't have anything to hold you with, nothing to make you think about what they have to say, they talk at you, not to you. And that's what she was doing. And she was doing it, and it's not new.
No.
But everybody's hip to you all now. Yeah. And we are anticipating that you are not prepared. Because you keep saying you going and you preparing when you're on the trail.
That you saw live on this program yesterday. Joy Behar stirring the pot of controversy after saying this about Karoline.
She's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
Do you want to take this?
So you cannot be attractive and smart? I will try to give Joy the benefit, and oh, thank you. I try to give Joy the benefit of the doubt that she didn't see that briefing. Because if you saw that yesterday on numerous topics, no big binder, I think she might have had a different impression of this young woman who held her own.
I mean, you would have to give her the benefit of the doubt that she did absolutely no research or reading about anything dealing with Karoline Leavitt before she made that remark. Because Karoline Leavitt worked, I mean, she went to St. Anselm College, she worked for WMUR.
Ran for Congress?
In New Hampshire, she ran for Congress at the age of 25, put on a very good campaign. She lost by 8 or 9 points, but she still put on a good campaign. Then she was the press secretary for the Trump campaign, going on TV literally every day.
Well, heavily pregnant and a new mom.
Pregnant. Yeah, she's a new mother. And then she goes out yesterday and gives and this again, this is speaking very objectively, because I've watched every press secretary since going back to Marlon Fitzwater. Yeah, I'm that old. And she went out there for her very first briefing at the age of 27 years old, the youngest press secretary ever, and did a terrific job.
For decades, mainstream media has been the delivery service for Democratic Party narratives, selling them as gospel truth while painting dissenters as dangerous or fringe. The View is no exception. But the face-off between Leavitt and Goldberg ripped the curtain wide open. The bias wasn't subtle, it was on display for the whole country to see. Goldberg didn't just lose the argument. She couldn't even defend her ground. Facts made her stumble. Logic made her freeze. The silence was deafening. And that silence wasn't just Whoopi's loss, it was a gut punch to the entire media establishment that's propped her up for decades. Across America, more viewers are waking up, and they're rejecting the system that's been spoon-feeding them the narrative.
I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here. Oh, yeah. Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job. Yeah. Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason. Because Black people couldn't get into colleges. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. Yeah. See, this is not Black, Asian women. This is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure.
To add one last thing, what was interesting to me is Dan Rather weighed in on X, and he said, he compared our time now to the Nixon era, which was a little scary for me. But he said, enough with both sides-ism. When one side lies intentionally and repeatedly, they are no longer entitled to the benefit of the doubt.
And we should keep in mind, too, that the people that need to hear this are the people who are running the networks that are okaying this. Because this idea, it's like they say to you now, you can only work within this perimeter. But if the facts are not clear to people, that was what a journalist was there to do, to say, in fact, this is what went on and this is how we checked. Now, we've been given doubts that people don't know how to do this. The media has pretty much always been.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help because voters are going to re-elect President Trump back to the White House very soon because voters see these trials that are being brought forward against President Trump for what they are. They are sham show trials. They are election interference in an attempt to imprison President Trump. And the irony in all of this is that Joe Biden and the Democrats and these ladies on The View constantly say President Trump is the alleged threat to democracy, when in fact they themselves are wishfully thinking that President Trump will be imprisoned when he has not been convicted of any crimes. That is the real threat to democracy. Voters see that, and that's why President Trump continues his dominance in the polls, not just with Republicans and independents, but he's also picking up historic gains with Democrat constituencies such as African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and union workers.
The blowback was instant and brutal. ABC, already drowning in sinking ratings and legal headaches over The View, suddenly found itself in crisis mode. Advertisers, sick of the non-stop controversy, started pulling their money. Even longtime fans began questioning whether the show had finally gone too far. Then came the unthinkable. Whoopi Goldberg was taken off the air. ABC tried to spin it as temporary leave, but everyone knew the truth. Whoopi had become a liability. Her untouchable status was gone. In TV, loyalty lasts only as long as the numbers hold up, and hers couldn't save her anymore.
Paying a massive settlement that had executives questioning if The View was still worth the trouble. And then there was Elon Musk.
To each side. And now when we've gone to this place where you only hear this, see, we have to tell you both sides. That's why Alyssa's here, that's why Anna's here, because we don't all think the same way. And it's like you all don't think the same way, so you want to hear what other people say. But when they're lying, we can't have it. We can't allow on this show to have things said that we know for a fact are not true. That's what it used to be. That's what it needs to go back to be, and that's where y'all come in. It's okay to feel how you feel, but demand the truth. Demand folks fact check what they're telling you, because what they're telling you is important.
Be a seat. My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex.
All right.
What'd she say?
She basically said that they were going to give
Oh, God,
unqualified
how boring.
unqualified
Can they get
people
somebody there
jobs.
not
The
so
Behind the
tedious?
Table podcast needs to apply for White House credentials.
Oh, they'd love having Joy in that room.
Joy's
I
got a question.
So wait a second. So in other words, instead of Bob Woodward, they want Kim Kardashian? What? I don't get it.
While I vow to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House.
Boo. She's got more.
I would like to point out to each and every one of you that in 2024, when Joe Biden was in the Oval Office, or upstairs in the residence sleeping, I'm not so sure, egg prices increased 65% in this country.
Bam!
This wasn't just two TV personalities trading jabs. This was a cultural tremor. It signaled that the era of smug, unchallenged dominance from entrenched liberal elites might finally be cracking under its own hypocrisy. Karoline Leavitt didn't just win a debate. She set a blueprint for how conservatives can take on media bias and win. The days of sitting quietly while being interrupted, misrepresented, or silenced. Over. Now, they're standing tall, calling out the lies, and firing back with confidence. If one determined young conservative can bring Whoopi Goldberg to a screeching halt in one broadcast, imagine what a movement could do. The monopoly of one-sided media is teetering, and America is taking the MIC back.